Alright, so I'm on site today at a building that has a complaint about one specific indoor unit. I'm just going to walk you through the process from beginning to end. So the customer called and said that the unit 403 was not keeping up. He sent me a picture of it and it was at like 78. But of course today I show up and it's at 73. But if you notice this one over here, 409 is at 77. We can go in there and see what it's set for. So it's currently set for 72. What we can also do while we're here is we can control whether the thermostat or the customer, or the tenant I should say, is able to go in there and turn the thermostat on or off. You can see that little circle. They are not allowed to turn it on or off, so they can push the button all they want, but it doesn't do anything. Mode is also prohibited, so they can't go in there and change the mode, which is nice because if they are, they'll leave it on heating and expect it to cool, so you'll get service calls about it's not cooling and you show up and it's on heating. Stupid stuff like that. So if you put it in auto and set it for 72, it'll heat if it needs to heat and cool if it needs to cool. You can go in here, change the temp, set the mode, turn it off, everything you want from this controller. So this is for the 4th floor. So all of these units are for the 4th floor. So you need to know where to hook up, because if I hook up on here, I'm only going to see the 1st and 2nd floor because they live on this device. If I want the 3rd floor, I have to hook up here. In the 4th, I have to hook up here. So I'm going to go ahead and get my maintenance tool all hooked up, and we'll see what the 4th floor is doing. We'll go from there. I'm not going to show hooking up, it's very simple, but if you don't know how to do it, you need to take the class. So go to the Mitsubishi class, take the install and then the service class, but I'm not going to go over that here. So I'll be right back once I hook up. Okay, so we have all of these units that are on the 4th floor. We're specifically looking for that one. But when I hook up to the 4th floor, it's going to bring in all of these, and they're going to be addressed 1, 2, 3, 14, 15, 20. When I hook up my computer, it's not going to show me VRF 409. That's just the label that we put in here for the customer, because the addresses don't mean anything to them. So if we put VRF 409, that means it's a VRF unit, of course, and it's probably on the 4th floor, and it's indoor unit 9. Whether that's address 9 or unit 9, we don't know. Okay, so we can take that and put that on the side of the thermostat for them so that they know when they need to change the thermostat, VRF 409, they can come in here. Or it'll help me, because if I know VRF 409 isn't keeping up, I can go look at the thermostats, find where VRF 409 is. That's the area that's having the problem. Okay, but again, when I hook up, I don't know what address that unit is. There's no VRF 409 in here. So you can see, all it does is pull up all the addresses. So we start at 17 and we pull all the way into 29. VRF 409 could be any one of these, and I don't know which one. So if I come over here and click on that, type in INITIAL, and then the password is INIT. Log in. We go over to groups. Now look at that. Now we can find VRF 409. So it's not on here. So you can see up here. So these are all the units that live on the AE200 or this controller. There's 50 units that can live on here, 50 units that can live on here. The AE200 can import the units that are on here and put them into here, because you notice that doesn't have a screen on it. So we can only have 50 indoor units that live on here. So 3rd floor, we can't do anything with it because it doesn't have a screen. So let's import it into the AE200 and we can use it from there. But this is doing all the commanding. This just tells that to go out and change the set point, to go out and put everything into setback, etc. So we need to click on this. Now we can choose which expansion controller. It's probably 2, I don't know, but maybe. Yep. So we're looking for VRF 409. It's address 25. So if we come back here, we can find address 25. So now, when we click on monitor that outdoor unit, this one's a little bit easier because you don't have 50 indoor units and 8 outdoor units to choose from. So that's where this gets, where it makes it a lot easier on you, because otherwise you have no idea what you're looking for. So we'll go ahead and confirm. So what this means is there's an address 1 through 50 that live on this. There's an address 1 through 50 that live on this. We can't have 2 addresses that are the same on the same controller. So if you're looking for address 14, well, is it address 14 here? Or is it address 14 here? Or is it address 14 at your 14 other central controllers? You don't know. So you have to come in here and figure out, okay, I'm looking for 410. It's address 26 on expansion controller 2. So that's where you need to hook up, because this central controller goes up to the outdoor units. It does not touch this central controller. The only reason this can see these indoor units is because we're going through our LAN cable, our Ethernet cable. So we tell the central controller on this, address 1 is CEO's office, address 2 is VRF 410, address 3 is indoor unit 15, whatever you want to do. But they don't live on here, they live on here. This is just telling this, hey, I have all these, but you can tell me what you want me to tell them to do. So we're still pulling in, we're on address 29, so it should be pulling up here soon. I think we were looking for 25. So once this pulls in, I'll check back in and we'll go from there. Okay, so it just pulled in. You can see when it first pulls up, we've got our OC, our OS, and our branch controller. We can scroll down and we have all of our indoor units. Remember, we were looking for address 25. So look at that. So right after the LEV, the electronic expansion valve, we've got 38 degrees. After the coil, we've got 52. So it's doing work. So we're only on the first minute, so I'm probably going to put it into test mode because that's the only way we can really see what's going on accurately. I don't think it's a charge issue though. I have a suspicion of what I think it is, but we've got to watch it. We've got to put it in its full test mode, just because there are several things that can go on. You may have several issues. They are very good at hiding issues. You may hook up to it and think it's low. You may hook up to it and think it's overcharged. After you watch it for an hour, you realize that there's something else going on. I've watched systems for 40 minutes and they look low, and then after 45 minutes they look perfect. So you really have to sit and wait and be patient and watch them. So while this is monitoring, I am going to go out and find that unit. So I have to go look at all the thermostats on the 4th floor, trying to find VRF 409. Because maybe they just put a giant printer in front of it. Maybe somebody's electric heater is right under it. You don't know. So I'll go out and see if I can find it. See if I see anything obvious, and we'll go from there. So I have another video about this, I believe, but to put it into test mode, we'll go up to drive operation, indoor coil. We'll wait for that to pop up. So now I have to decide which units we want to put into test cooling. If we have a building full of 50 units, you don't want to put the whole building on test cooling if you're only looking for the 4th floor, right? So I know that our addresses start at 17 because that's what our indoor units are addressed at. We start at 17 and go to 29. So we're just going to select all of these. We're going to tell it go into test run, into cool, and then transmit. I've been told conflicting things by Mitsubishi. I've been told you have to go up to the outdoor unit, put it into 922 test mode, and then you have to come down here and put it into test mode. From other Mitsubishi reps, I've heard that you just have to put it in test mode from here. I don't know. If I'm really trying to diagnose a system charge issue, I will go up, put it into 922 test mode, come down here, put it into test mode. But in a situation like today where I'm pretty sure the charge is fine, because all the other units are keeping up for the most part, and I'm not seeing anything crazy. So first things first, I'm going to make it easy on myself. I'm just going to put it in a test mode, see if I see anything weird. And then if I need to, I can go up and put it into 922. But I mean, if I go back one slide, you can see, I mean, we got 10-degree difference across our coil. That's pretty good. That's, I mean, it's about as good as I could hope for, really. So we'll see what test mode does. I think this thermostat is on an exterior wall, and it's just getting the heat from the side of the building that's in the sun in the afternoon. So I think we may need to put some insulation behind that thermostat, but we'll put it into test mode, do our due diligence to make sure that everything's running as it should, and then hopefully it's as simple as putting some insulation behind that thermostat and it works great. Alright guys, it's been about 2 months since I last recorded that video, so bear with me. I had some time today to finish it. I wish I finished it earlier, but I'm working on these water source units today. But while we're here, so on that last system, this is a different unit, but on that last system, we wanted to hook up and see if the system is running well. It was, but this is a system that's not working correctly. So we'll just go over this one real quick. When I hook up, there's an unlimited amount of data that you can get from this screen. We've got our 2 outdoor units, our branch controller, and our indoor units. But there's only a few things that I'm really focusing on that really tell me a lot. So this system has a problem. When we hook up, we can go down, we can see I put it into test cooling. Cooling only. TH1s are our indoor temps, and you can see we have a very hot building, so about 80 degrees on average. TH2 is right after our expansion valve in each fan coil. TH3 is after the coil itself. So we have before the coil and after the coil. So first things first, I'm usually looking at TH4, which is our discharge temp on our compressor. We want to see that between 150 and 180, give or take. In cooling only, on these specific models, K-Gen and L-Gen, ends run quite a bit hotter, but it's a video for another day. So 160, that's pretty hot, you know, it's not too bad though. And And then I'm immediately looking at my TH5. So my TH5 is my inlet of the accumulator before the compressor. A high TH5 is going to influence TH4. If we have hot refrigerant, high superheated refrigerant entering that accumulator, when we leave into the discharge line, that compressor is going to heat it up even more. So the more heat you have in that suction line entering the compressor, the more it's going to have leaving. I'm also looking at my TE. That is my saturated suction temp. Now in cooling only, it's really easy. This unit is going to do whatever it needs to do to maintain a 32-degree saturated suction temperature. Now if that compressor speeds up and it pulls that TE down below 32, it's going to slow down. So seeing as how we have a 34-degree TE, that compressor is going to speed up to pull it back down to 32. If it all of a sudden jumps up to 40-degree TE, that compressor again is going to speed up to bring that suction temperature back down. We want to maintain a 32-degree TE at all times in cooling. Now if we look at our accumulator, 16, 17, and 18, that's our low, middle, and high on our accumulator. They're just thermistors on there. You can see our accumulator is empty, so we have no refrigerant in that accumulator at all. If we go down to our branch controller and we look at our SC1 and our SC6, that's our subcooling. We should have 9 to 27 and 27 to 54 on the second one. We have 0. Our SH2 is the superheat after our 2 subcoolers. Target is 4. We're at 33 degrees. So we have no subcooling and high superheat. That SH2 again is your superheat after your 2 subcoolers. So we enter the first subcooler as a saturated refrigerant. It's a mix of liquid and gas. Go through our first subcooler, come out subcooled a little bit, enter our second subcooler. Now when we leave that second subcooler, we should be nothing but a solid column of liquid. That liquid is then going to go into our indoor units and cool. But we're also going to take a little bit off the top of that, flash it, send it through the 2 subcoolers, subcooling itself, and that's where we want to see that 4 degrees of superheat. So after we give off, or we pick up all of that heat from this one and that one, we want to see no more than 4 degrees of superheat. So the unit's going to do whatever it has to do to manipulate this LEV right there. It's going to open it more if it needs to. If it needs to bring superheat down, and it'll close it if it needs to bring it back down. So we've got high indoor temps, high evap temps. All these TH2s should be about 40 degrees. We should have between 0 and 15 degrees of superheat. So at most, these TH3s should be about 55. They're all in the 70s. So this unit isn't doing anything. Now if we go back up to the top and we look at the frequency of our outdoor unit, it's at 20 hertz. Barely running. Why? Because every time it tries to ramp up, it brings that TE below 32 and it says, oh, I need to slow back down. It's trying to speed up, it's trying to do work, but every time it tries to speed up, it goes way below 32 and it has to slow back down. So we have no refrigerant in our accumulator. We have an elevated-ish TH4. If we watched this longer, it would get much hotter. High TH5, so we have high superheat, about 50 degrees of superheat between TE and TH5. High indoor temps, high superheat, no subcooling, high superheat. This system is low on refrigerant. So again, don't get overwhelmed by everything that's in front of you. You've got so many points to look at. Everything tells you a little bit different of a story, but just look at the key ones and don't overcomplicate it. This system has low subcooling, high superheat. It's exhibiting signs of being low. There may be other issues, but most of the time it's probably just a leak. Hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, that should be it for this video, and I'll try to keep making more, but it's quite busy and I only make videos on things that I find are interesting and captivating. So yeah, that's it for today. Thanks.